Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the shockingly intelligent, wise, self-aware Neal Brennan and what he's teaching us about self-improvement, in my humble opinion, and the shape of the world, and um, and the expectations on dungeon masters. Okay, so first of all, what are the expectations on Dungeons and Dragons VE dungeon masters? Right. This was said by Ben from Questing Beast, and he was like, if you're a Dungeons and Dragons 5e dungeon master, and I do believe this is completely true for Dungeons and Dragons VE, the new 2024 Dungeons and Dragons. He said you're expected to be a life coach, to know the rules backwards and forwards, and be able to tell an incredible narrative, right? Like that's literally a quote from him, and I think that's absolutely true. And this is where we've arrived. Is there are a lot of people coming to Dungeons and Dragons, in my humble opinion, to help, maybe not fix, but definitely to help their mental health, right? And the easy answer is, hey, you go get a couch scribbler. You pay them $200 for every hour that they talk to you. You ask them questions, they ask you questions. You're not going to get fixed, but you'll feel better about the whole situation, right? Like, and you'll be doing the work, and you could have a discussion with your friends about it, and nothing's gonna get fixed, but you'll feel better about it, and you'll have somebody to talk to it about it. And if things get really out of control, they'll scribble something on their pad that you can take to the person at the back of the CVS, right? Like it's just, that's where we're at, right? And the reality is, I think if you have $20,000 a month, you can get to a state where you really feel good about your mental health. I'm not sure your mental health will be any better or fixed in any way, but you will definitely, you can, for $20,000 a month, I think you can actually feel better about it. And the reason I think that is I've listened to a lot of Hollywood autobiographies, and that's what they do. They spend about 20 grand a month. They essentially get a couch scribbler who just sits with them all week and meets with them sometimes twice a day, right? And they do feel good about their overall situation. That's undeniable, right? So, but there are a lot of people who don't have 20 grand a month, right, to get that good feeling about their mental health, and so they arrive at the dungeon master table, right, with real questions, wanting real help, right? And the reality is, I'm not saying for a minute that Dungeons and Dragons can supply that real help. In fact, I would say, I want to make this clear. I think if you feel that you are broken, you should definitely just go get your couch scribbler, right? I think all that Dungeons and Dragons can do for you is help you grow, learn, change, and transform. It can't fix you. If you believe you're broken, don't try to fix that with Dungeons and Dragons. If you want to grow, learn, change, or transform, I absolutely believe that Dungeons and Dragons can do that, right? And the reason why we're talking about this today is Neal Brennan, really interesting guy. He did a Q&A on his podcast. He has an incredible podcast. It's the best podcast today. In 2024, nobody's even close. It's the best thing you can listen to for podcasts. And because he is incredibly intelligent, wise, and self-aware, and he gets on, everybody on his channel is intelligent. Many of them have a little bit of wisdom, and many of them are not self-aware, but some of them are self-aware, and he gets a great interview out of regardless, whoever's on the other end of the mic. And it's worth, like, if you're a dungeon master, if you're a dragon master, this is premium content. This is absolute gold content. You've got to check this out. So basically, he did this Q&A, and somebody in the question just was literally, hey, Neal, I know you've been depressed previously. How do I not be depressed? I couldn't believe it. Like, so he gave the standard blah blah blah. I'm not a couch scribbler. Blah 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 blah. And then he answered the question better than any couch scribbler could ever even attempt to. Just genuine, pure, and raw, right? Like, just a real one answer. I was stunned, right? And the whole point is, I think we need to be aware. I'm not even saying what we should do. I'm just saying you need to be aware if you're running a Dungeons and Dragons table, there definitely may be a person who is looking to fix their mental health at the table with your game, with your campaign, right? And so I'm not prescribing any actions here. I'm just saying you need to acknowledge this. You need to, for realsies, acknowledge that this is a very real thing, right? And that this can happen, because we need to be at minimum aware of it. Because if people are going to comedians and saying, "How do I fix my depression?" they're looking in some unusual places, because most people don't have $20,000 to not fix a problem but feel better about it, right? Like that's the whole of it, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.